You are listening to Pure Perception, a podcast that gives you insights and learnings from microachievers. I am Revantanu Poju, and I love to learn from other people's experiences, shortcomings, and apply them to real-time scenarios. I hope this podcast connects with you in a deeper level. Hi guys, welcome to Pure Perception, episode 25. Firstly, thank you all for tuning into this podcast. And this week I got Harshvardhan Nahar on the pod, and we're going to talk about his passion and also about his book reading habit. Hi Harsh, dude, how are you?
Hey, hi Revant, how are you? How is Pure Perception?
It's going good, man. We got some good numbers and good loyal listeners as well. What are you up
Yeah,
to?
great. Nothing, man. I was planning to read today, but it's been a lot of reading, so I'm taking a gap from that now.
Yeah, you've been reading a lot through this lockdown, right? Okay, so Harsh, before diving in, please give us your background to our listeners.
All right. So I came here about 10 to 15 years ago from Rajasthan and started my education here from around fourth class or so. And so English was a very big problem for me, and it still is. It's a big challenge. If I have to speak to someone in English, I really get scared way before time. So yeah, and luckily I learned a little bit of English that I know through Facebook, chatting to people, and
Right.
through Facebook, through internet, I found photography and I found it to be interesting. Yeah, and eventually while studying, I started researching on that. And when I was completing my graduation, I started diverting towards photography and filmmaking, and found out that maybe that is something for me. And that's about it. So that's what I'm doing for now.
So where it all started, Harsh, like photography ka interest, where it all started for you?
I am not exactly sure where it started, but around like when I was in 10th and 11th, I started seriously researching about photography on the internet. There were some websites that used to teach you about technical concepts. When I came to my 12th, I
Yeah.
we were in the same class, right?
Yes,
So at
yes,
that
yes.
time, I was like legit reading every day about photography, even before I had a camera in my hand.
Right.
So at that time, I think I knew that maybe this is what I want to do in life.
Okay.
So yeah,
Fully into photography, right? You're full-time photographer right now.
that's what I thought to be.
Hmm.
But our dear pandemic has not let me be that.
So you used to work with the company, right? You have a day job. You used to have a day job back then.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
So like every photographer needs a camera, and so did I. And I thought that you have to eventually work and save up money to get a good gear, right?
right.
So after my graduation, I took some 2 months or 3 months of break, and I was, just casually assisting some photographers in their wedding shoots. And
Okay.
that time I got a call from one company, and they were like, so this is a good cool company that you can work with. It's a social media company, you can have fun and this and that, and you'll have a MacBook with you. So I thought, dude, I'm getting a MacBook, that's it, I need MacBook, I will go and join them, so I did work there for 2 years,
Okay.
saved up some money, and then got my camera.
Crazy, crazy.
And
So I want to know, how do you feel when you click a crazy picture, Harsh?
I don't know if it is a crazy picture or not, but sometimes I have ideas about the pictures that I want to click. I think I feel satisfied. It feeds my hunger when I get a picture which I am so longing for. There are times when I start cooking up techniques of how to click a picture, how to achieve that output, and if I'm putting so much of time and effort into it, and if it pays off, well and good, and if it doesn't, then I have headache for 2 days, man.
Okay. What was the first camera that you used in clicking a picture? Like, do you remember?
First camera, I think it was a Canon 550D of a friend.
Okay.
Yeah,
And what was the
I
first
think
picture? First picture that you clicked?
I have no idea, but I do remember a great picture. I mean, I don't want to call it a great picture, but I really liked it a lot. There was a competition in my college in degree second year. So I went out on the streets and I found this area where there was a lot of garbage collected. There were these bees flying around.
Okay.
And I had this a little macro lens kind of thing with
Hmm.
my camera. I was like, okay, let's get this bee ka photo. And so I went very close to that stinking garbage and started taking pictures. And then when I saw that it was really nice, for the first time I was like, I have achieved legendary status in photography.
Yeah,
So
I get
yeah,
that. Yeah. Right. So we'll talk about your day job, Harsh. Like, how was it to resign from the day job and take up photography for full time?
oh man, to just clarify you, I thought of taking photography as a full-time career, but I haven't built it up yet. But I'll tell you what happened. Last year, in the last quarter, I was about to finish this Naruto series. Okay. And there was a point when the entire episode, the story influenced me to take a decision in life that I always wanted to, right? At that moment, my passion started taking over my mind, and I was feeling constant need to do something. So at that moment, my emotions took the better of me, and I decided to leave my job, do what I liked for 6 months. I gave myself this 6 months of time so that if something fails, I could come back to a regular day job again. Then I started little by little to do some shoots and try some photography. But then, unfortunately, the pandemic happened. All of us are sitting at home. I'm reading, and you are making podcast, which is so productive. I am jealous of you, Revant. So yeah, man, an anime show was some part of my decision taking towards following my passion.
Yeah. So how do you relate Naruto to your story, and like what is the relation that you've taken or the identification?
Yeah. Here you can call me dumb because I don't have any relation with of my life with Naruto. But what happened was at some of the episodes, the emotions go so high that you don't think objectively. Everything becomes emotional to you, and that's what happened to me. There is definitely no relation. Call
Right.
me dumb, man.
Nice. So how tough was it, or how challenging it was to convince your parents, or taking the decision, like taking full time career as a photography?
I've been very lucky in this matter. In the early years, not a lot of people supported me for my liking towards photography, but eventually my parents were pretty okay with it.
Okay.
So when I told them that I want to do this, they were like, "It's fine. If you want to do it, do it. But then you have to figure it out on your own. There's no help from me."
Okay.
So I was like, "Yeah, fine." So in that case, I was really lucky. But I just want to add a point here.
Yeah.
I was really naive at that time because I thought focusing on your passion and working towards that is really easy, all roses. But when I did eventually leave my job and then pandemic hit, I was like, what am I supposed to do now, right?
Correct.
And yeah, so and the thing that I wanted to do, which is photography, I had no options for it left. Yeah, so I would say to anyone who think that leaving your day job and leaving your studies and focusing only on what you like is a great thing, that is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You should definitely get a degree, you should definitely have a day job, unless you figure out that your passion can feed you without any other help.
Correct. Makes sense, sir. Even if like even in my case also, like to me, it's not that easy to leave my job and do what I'm doing right now, like media venture.
Hmm.
Completely. So it's a
Hmm.
bit challenging, but we need to figure out ways, and there has to be some action plans, right? You can't just like jump and figure out stuff. We need to have an action plan, because we all come from middle class.
Exactly.
We all come from middle class backgrounds and stuff. So
Yes.
and also first generation, passion, the explorers of our passion. So yeah, it makes sense, sir. It's nice that you told this point to our listeners. Okay. So we have reached a point of break. So we'll just take a break and we'll come back, Harsh. So until then, like, stay tuned, guys.
Hello everyone, welcome to my podcast Sunday Summaries. My name is Shireen Caroline. I'm going to review books that I've read, I love, and encourage you to get inspired by this and read more and more books. I feel that books have a life in themselves. Reading books calms the mind and soul of a person. We hear of instances where people find answers to what they're looking for by reading books. So that is what I do too. I'm going to review one book every Sunday. You all love these reviews and are encouraged to read the books that I review.
You can listen to episode 1 of Sunday Summaries on Spotify and also on p2media.in. This is a P2 Media podcast. So welcome back, guys. So this was just a strategic timeout. So Harsh, we'll talk about your book reading habit. In the entire lockdown, you have read 20 books, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's crazy, man. It's quite a bit of achievement in this entire 3 months of time. So we'll talk about those. You give me 5 recommendations from those 20 books. So it'll be helpful for our listeners as well and also to me.
Yeah,
So-
sure, Revan. So I'll give you recommendations from mythology, normal fiction.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah, sure.
So the first book is Circe. It's based on the Greek mythology. You must have heard the stories of Odysseus and all, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Circe is the daughter of Helios, the sun god. And this entire book is written in the perspective of Circe herself.
Okay.
It starts from her birth to her redemption, you can say, sort of, to her sense of realizing what she wants to do in life, what she has achieved in life, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
There are certain parts in the book that I really liked. Madeline Miller, the writer, specifically, made it clear that Circe is not the best, morally best person in the book. Okay.
Right.
So she has desires, she has certain evil thoughts in her mind, and this in some sense also translates to how we are as humans. We are not, morally the purest form. We are corrupt in some sense. We
Correct.
are
We have our own
good
flaws.
clearly put. We
Yeah.
have a lot of flaws. Usually because mythology is so nice to read, you feel like a kid when going through the books. So it's a great read if you'd like to.
Sure.
Then
Noted.
the next book is The Best We Could Do by Thi Bui. It's by this Vietnamese person immigrated to US
Yes. Okay.
in the 70s. So there was this Vietnam War that was happening from the 50s to 70s, right?
Right.
And through these times, a lot of people were kicked away from their homes. A lot of people died. The count was in millions. This book specifically narrates the story of her life, Thi Bui, and her family's life in such a lush, beautiful way. It's this, graphical book where she is taking you through a journey of her life in Vietnam and in America.
Okay.
So you will come across a lot of situations where she and her her family face dangers, imminent threat to their life. She has used this really nice comical way of drawing those situations. When there is a shooting that is happening, she writes those letters, the words ratatatata, so that it feels like there is actual gunfight that happens while you're reading it. You can feel that movement. So you should definitely check this book out. It's a memoir, so it's a real story.
Sure. Noted, Harsh. Yeah.
Another one is a great novel by Mikhail Bulgakov, the Russian writer. It's called
Okay.
The Master and Margarita.
Mm-hmm.
So this book was written in Russian first, and there have been a lot of translations of this book. I have read one among those. I'll give you a brief intro to that story, okay?
Sure.
So there is this elite literary club in Russia where the head of the club and a poet is walking through a park in the evening. And then this man who apparently seems like a foreigner comes and confronts them. And then they have a conversation about Jesus actually existing or not.
Okay.
And then the story totally shifts to the time when Jesus was convicted and he was sentenced to death by Pontius Pilate, I guess. I cannot pronounce his name right. So the narrative totally shifts to the time of Jesus,
Mhm.
and then it comes back to the present Russia when they were discussing. And then a whole lot of weird, mysterious things happen. There is a cat whose name is Behemoth. It's like a huge cat which can perform magic. Totally absurd things happen, which are comical also.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Check that out.
Sure.
Yeah. One of the great thing about The Master and Margarita is that it also depicts how the USSR government at that time was oppressing people. It was not letting the writers who were talking about realities of that time come up. It was censoring them. People totally used to, vanish in thin air suddenly. You will come across a lot of those things in this book. Then there is another book called 1984. You must have heard about this book, I guess. Do you know about this book called Animal Farm?
Yeah, I do. We have it in our
Yeah.
intermediate, I guess. 11th,
Yeah,
12th.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's written by George Orwell, and he really he's totally into political satire. He
Right.
uses
Animals.
animals to depict political situations in that book. So 1984 is by the same writer,
Okay.
and this book, the content of this book is set in this dystopian world where there is a dictator who is not, no one has seen him. There are only poster of this dictator called Big Brother,
Mhm.
throughout London. The world is divided into three different kingdom sort of things, like rulers.
Okay.
You will see that how the government has taken control of each and every sector of life of its citizen, and then it starts dividing them. Now there are those people who are considered as the low class people, who are never given good opportunities in life.
Yeah.
And then there are the normal citizens who are under surveillance for 24 hours a day.
Right.
You see how scary that seems. Like every movement of their day is captured. Everything is recorded about them, so they cannot have feelings. They cannot go against the government. They cannot even think about it.
Mm-hmm.
At some point they start creating a language called newspeak, if I'm not wrong. What they do is they systematically try to decrease words, reduce words from the native English language, and try to oversimplify the newspeak language.
Mm-hmm.
What happens with that is, once you reduce a lot of word from a set of words, you tend to lose meanings, lose those specific meanings that come with that specific word. And
Right.
like, for example, there is good, there is better, there is best. What they do is, in newspeak, what they do is they make good, then they make it super good. You get the point?
Right.
Yeah, they are systematically doing this thing so that the people of the coming generation do not have that higher intellect to think against the government.
Oh,
A very scary book in some sense, and it holds value till date. It was written years ago, decades ago.
correct.
Next, one last. I will go with Gita. I have a lot of books, but I will go with Gita because I've recently started, reading it. I'm in the fourth chapter, and let me tell you that with each and every verse that I read and I try to comprehend,
Okay.
I get a new understanding of life. I'm not trying to show off here, but the way Gita is written, it can apply to every aspect of your life. Although it has been, the teachings of Krishna given to Arjun when he had doubts about the war, but the way he speaks the verses, the way it is written in Gita, it can apply to all aspects.
Right.
There is a general sense to it, and if you stick to it, I think that you will learn a lot.
You're talking about My Gita by Devdutt Patnaik?
No. I'm talking about like Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, the actual Gita.
Right.
No interpretation.
Right. Got it.
The thing with Gita is that there are a lot of different interpretations of Gita. That
Right.
is fine in some sense, but then you don't get the actual essence of the book. You get the understandings of different people, which is not always good for you. Like, if you read Gita once, you might understand, let's say, 0.01% of it. But if you keep on repeating, you start realizing things that you might have missed before.
Correct.
So I would recommend people to read Gita as it is, without any additional commentary.
Perfect. So Harsh, I have an interesting doubt. Harsh. Like, you've been reading these books on Kindle and also on physical sense, right?
Yeah.
Like you're carrying physical books. You bought some physical books and stuff. So
Yes.
So what do you recommend? Like how do you feel reading on a Kindle, like on a real book, a physical book? Like, which one is better to you personally?
Personally, for me at this moment, Kindle seems better because the writers are very proficient in English. Their skill at using word is way higher than what we can write. So a lot of times I tend to miss out on words and I have to understand the meaning. If I see some word which I have never seen before, I will. So if it's a physical book, I have to go to my phone and open the dictionary and check it. It's a distracting thing, the flow is broken.
Right.
But if I have a Kindle in my hand, the dictionary is built in. I just have to tap on the word and the
Correct.
meaning pops up.
Correct.
That is one of the major reasons I use Kindle.
So even I tried to read it on Kindle. My personal preference would be Kindle only because it's very handy and also it's very fast to get meanings of words, right? So yeah.
Exactly. The thing is, there is no hate to real books because, if I read a book on Kindle and if I really like it, I somehow try to get the physical copy also, just for the sake of an ownership to that copy. It just feels good to have a physical copy also. But then Kindle has a lot of advantage over a physical copy.
Right. Because it's enabled by technology, So yeah.
I just want to add one point here.
Yeah.
If
sure.
you're going with graphical books like the one that I mentioned before, The Best We Could Do, it's a graphical memoir. I went ahead with the physical copy because you will not get the best experience of drawings in Kindle. It is not made for that. It is only made for text. That is something to keep in mind.
So do you have any plans for the future to read more books, or you have any goal to reach out to that by end of the year?
Like I told you, I started this goal just to show it off, to people.
Right.
But then now I have come to a stage where I am reading just for the sake of reading. It has become a natural thing in my life.
Awesome.
So currently I'm reading 2 books and probably I'll read about 5 more this year and then I'll stop for a while.
So you gave me 5 recommendations, right? I've noted them and
Yes.
I'll try to read them, and I'll let you know about those books once I complete.
Yeah,
Because
sure, man.
Because with my personality or with my mentality, what I do is I always like buy more books than I complete. So I have this bad habit inbuilt.
Yeah.
I don't know how, because I've built a lot of my library with the incomplete books that I've read. So I have to complete those first. Currently, I'm reading a little book on beauty by Ruskin Bond and also Death by Sadhguru. It's crazy book, man. It's like deepest.
Even I want to start reading Sadhguru. One of my friends recommended Sadhguru to me.
You must read. You start off with inner engineering. It's craziest book. You'll know the basic idea. Tells out or he advocates like mind, body, and energy and stuff. I'll not reveal more.
Note it down.
Yeah, you have to read that book for sure. So we came to the last segment of this podcast. So like, if you have any movie or TV show suggestions to our listeners, you can give us.
I have a great TV show recommendation for you. It's a Netflix special named BoJack Horseman. Have you heard about it?
Yeah. I've seen pilot, man. I didn't connect to it.
Okay, this is the third or fourth person who's telling me who hasn't connected to BoJack Horseman. I'm not gonna take it in offense, but okay. Anyways, so it's a 6-season series on Netflix. It's an original, actually. The great part about BoJack is that it will reflect your personality in the cartoon that they have made. It's a anthropoid. There are anthropoid characters in this show. Like the main lead is a horse who talks and walks like a man. Then there are these lead characters who are cats, who are seals, but they have genuine human emotions. They have human flaws. There are certain sections in this entire series where you will realize that in a given situation, how worse can a mind think? How much of harm can it inflict on other people around? If you want to learn about a human, if you want to learn about a society, you can definitely refer to BoJack Horseman. It's fun, it's comical, but at the same time, it gets depressing to the core. It just keeps going down in the pit. A great show.
So you have any movie recommendation, movie suggestion?
Movie I have is called The Breadwinner.
Okay.
It's produced by Angelina Jolie. It's a cartoon film. It's an animated film again.
Okay.
It's about the story of a girl and her family living in the war-torn Afghanistan in control by terrorist forces. One day, the girl's father is taken away by these forces into confinement. So now she has to earn for her family because there is no man left. So what she does is she cuts her hair.
You don't reveal the entire story, Harsh. Don't spoil.
No. I'm just giving you a touch of
Okay.
that. I got it.
Yeah.
So she has to struggles how she gets up with ideas to get her father back in her life, how she escapes that entire situation is in this movie. It's a very emotional film with a side story also. So I'm definitely sure you'll love it.
So I'll watch it, Harsh. Thanks for recommending. And
Sure, man.
so that's for the episode, Harsh. Like, if you have any last words to tell someone who wants to follow their passion, you can tell them.
I have two things. First thing is what I have spoken to you today holds value today. Tomorrow, maybe I'll have a different set of mind with different experiences. So please don't call me a hypocrite.
Right.
Second thing is, like I mentioned, when I left my job, I was watching Naruto and a fictional setting influenced me to take up my passion. But in reality, we should try not to be naive and we should look at the future outcomes, what can ensue after your decision takes place, right? So please do not think that you should leave your job to follow your passion. If you can work hard, you can follow your passion, but at the same time have a regular day job. And this is also a message to me, by me, so that I improve my life maybe.
Awesome. So that's great, Harsh, and thanks for your time. And
Thanks, Raven. Thanks for inviting me. Bye, guys.
bye, guys. I'll meet you guys next week. Until then, stay home, stay safe, and stay productive.